There are people who ruin lives loudly. Then there are people like Brighton Manyika, quiet, patient, smiling while planning destruction. The first time he slapped me behind the classrooms at Moringo Secondary, I thought it was just schoolboy jealousy. I did not know I was standing in front of the man who would destroy my entire future. And I definitely did not know that he had learned evil from his father. Because monsters do not always come from dark forests. Sometimes they are raised inside ordinary homes, fed at ordinary dinner tables, sent to ordinary schools, and by the time the world notices them, someone innocent is already bleeding. The first time Brighton spoke to me directly, it was behind the classrooms after school. I was tying my shoelace when his shadow fell over me. I looked up. He was standing there with two boys behind him, Boris and another one everyone called Snake. Brighton smiled. Todini. The way he said my name made it sound like an insult. I stood up slowly. Yes. He stepped closer. You like writing letters? Immediately, my stomach tightened. I said nothing. He reached into his pocket and pulled out folded paper. One of our letters. Precious letter. I recognized the corner, the blue ink, the careful folding. My face became hot. Where did you get that? I asked. He smiled wider. In my house, things do not hide from me. I reached for it, but he pulled it back. Boris laughed. Brighton unfolded the paper and began reading in a mocking voice. My beloved is beautiful. Something moved inside me. Not anger exactly. Protection. I grabbed the letter from his hand. For a moment, everyone froze. Then Brighton's smile disappeared. He stepped closer enough for me to smell cigarettes on his uniform. You think you are brave because teachers like you? He whispered. I said nothing. You think because you kick a ball and old women praise you, you are a man? Still, I said nothing. Then he leaned even closer. Leave Precious alone. I looked at him for the first time, and behind the cruelty, I saw something else. Jealousy. Not love, jealousy. The kind that says, if I cannot have peace, nobody near me will have it either. She is not your property, I said. It was a foolish thing to say. True, but foolish. Brighton slapped me hard. My ears rang immediately. Boris laughed again. Snake looked away. I did not fight back, not because I was afraid, because I thought of my grandmother. I thought of Potterai being called to school. I thought of disappointing her. So I picked up my bag and walked away. Behind me, Brighton called out, You will learn. I should have listened to the coldness in his voice. I should have warned Precious properly. I should have told teachers. I should have told somebody. But when you are young, you believe danger announces itself loudly. You do not know the worst danger can sit quietly in a tree and wait for the person you love. Now, let us return for a moment to my funeral, because while people were dancing near my coffin, there was one old memory standing quietly among them. Not a person, a question. What shall we do? That question had followed me from birth to death. When my mother died, my grandmother asked it. When Precious disappeared, I asked it. When I found blood on my floor, I asked it. When I became the kind of man I once feared, the whole community asked it. What shall we do with Todini? What shall we do with a man who was once good, then became dangerous? What shall we do with someone who hurt people after being hurt himself? What shall we do when mercy finds a man who no longer deserves it. That is why my funeral was divided. Some people came to bury my body. Some came to bury the memory of what I had done. Some came to thank God for the man I became before the end. And some came just to make sure I would never rise again. But nobody there knew the full story. Not all of it. They knew pieces, rumors, crimes, mistakes, miracles, but they did not know the beginning of the end. They did not know everything changed because one boy could not stand seeing one girl loved properly. They did not know that Brighton Manyika had already started sharpening evil long before Precious walked home alone from extra lessons. They did not know the love story people admired at Moringo Secondary was already becoming a wound. And they definitely did not know that the monster who would destroy us was himself raised by a monster. So before I tell you what happened to Precious, before I tell you about the muonde tree, before I tell you about the abandoned car and the trunk where her screams disappeared, you need to understand the house she came from. You need to understand Byron, and you need to understand his son, Brighton. Because some wolves do not come from the forest. Some are raised inside the home. Byron Manyika was the kind of man whose anger entered the room before he did. Children feared his footsteps. Women feared his silence. Even dogs moved out of his way. He drank heavily, shouted often, and carried violence like it belonged inside him naturally. But people like Byron are rarely born complete. Something usually creates them. Byron grew up in Berengwa. His parents died during the years when HIV and AIDS moved through Zimbabwe like a shadow swallowing families whole. Back then, many people did not even understand the disease properly. People just became thin, weak, then disappeared into graves. Byron was raised by his grandparents, poor people, tired people. His education ended after grade 7 because there was no more money for high school. So he joined older boys doing gold panning. That life hardened him early. Gold money entered his pockets before wisdom entered his head. Soon, he moved to Kadoma, where real mining happened. That is where he met Fatima, Brighton's mother. Fatima was older than Byron, beautiful, sharp, the type of woman who knew how desperate lonely men behaved around money. Byron fell for her quickly. At first, life looked good. Money flowed, beer flowed, music flowed. Then Fatima got pregnant, and suddenly, Byron realized love is easier before responsibility arrives. So he ran. Months later, Fatima gave birth to Brighton, but money disappeared quickly, and survival became cruel again. Eventually, she went looking for Byron. She found him in Kadoma. She carried Brighton to his house and told him she was leaving the child with him. They argued, fought, shouted, and somewhere inside that anger, something snapped. Byron grabbed a knife and stabbed her. The child cried while his mother died on the floor. That child was Brighton, and from that day onward, he grew up beside a murderer, a violent man, a runaway, a wolf teaching another wolf how to survive. Years later, Byron moved to Harare, then into Precious' home, and that is where darkness met innocence. That is where Brighton met Precious. That is where my story truly began bleeding. People think evil appears suddenly, like lightning, like explosions. But most evil grows slowly, quietly, inside homes, inside children, inside wounds nobody heals. Byron passed his violence into Brighton, the same way some fathers pass down land or cattle. And by the time Precious and I fell in love, Brighton already knew how to hate happiness. He already knew how to ruin things beautiful. and somewhere deep inside himself, he had already decided love was something to punish, not protect. One Saturday afternoon, Brighton climbed a muonde tree near High Glen Road and waited for Precious to walk home alone. If her friends had attended math lessons that day, maybe she would have survived. Maybe I would have become a husband instead of a monster. Maybe people would not have danced at my funeral. But fate can be cruel sometimes. Her friends never came, and Brighton was waiting in the tree. Next episode, you will witness the day everything changed. The day Precious disappeared. The day fear entered my life properly. And the day Brighton Manyika crossed the line that could never be uncrossed. This is no longer just a love story. It is the beginning of a tragedy.